Thank you, Flavia Mataji, for joining in. Thank you, Rajeshwari Mataji and Preeti Mataji too. I'll be sharing the link and we'll start the class in 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Vinita Gandharvika Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Haji, Mataji, actually it is morning hours for me in the Singapore. So it will be little difficult to, take the class in the morning. But during holidays over here, I will just request you for this.
Oh, definitely, Mataji, definitely. You send me the message whenever you're available. We'll try to schedule for you.
Mataji, could you kindly share your number with me, or else will you just text me on WhatsApp? I'll store
Mataji,
your number.
you can find my number on Bhakti Sangha group. Right now, I'm sending message there. You will be seeing my number there.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And thank you for conducting these all classes. Very helpful, Mataji.
Mataji, there is a big team. Mataji, Hagresh Preeti Vilasni Mataji's desire to do this Bhagavatam whole summaries so that we all read the books. So thankful to her, Mataji. Thank you to Hagresh Preeti Vilasni Mataji.
No, thanks to all the volunteers. All the coordinators are the ones who are running it. So thanks to all of them.
The desire is very, very important, Mataji. You, even though low strength, you keep pushing everyone and you make it go. And we'll finish Bhagavatam definitely with your desire.
That is the desire. If it, nothing like it. And chapter summary is good, Mataji. Even if we have less count.
It's good. It is for us, Mataji. Mainly it is for me. If I am giving the class, I read the chapter and I'm going to see what I read for myself at least. It is so good, Mataji. Thank you so much. Because of you, we are all reading Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Preeti Vilasini Mataji. Really very helpful, these summary classes. It really gives the good revision that what we have already read, actually.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for being a part of us, participating, because participation is the main thing. Thank you.
And sorry, Mataji, I have not replied to your message. Very soon I will be replying, Mataji.
Oh, okay, Mataji. Sure, Mataji. So this is why.
Mataji. Rajeshwari Devi Dasi.
Okay. Sure.
From Singapore, Mataji, it is actually 7:30 for me now in the morning.
Oh.
So I need to serve my family because in the morning hours, preparation of boga and all. So usually it's a bit difficult, but okay, can manage 1 or 2 weeks like this.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So I want to give a quick introduction to Mukta Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, please.
Wait, 1 second. I was just trying to pull it up, but then I will give an informal introduction. So we are very fortunate to have her Grace Mukta Mataji. Mukta Mataji is a certified teacher in Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya through ISKCON, in different ISKCON forums. And she is also one of the chief admins of the ISKCON Bhagavat Mahavidyalaya. She takes care of board of examinations, Vedavarsity courses, and other courses. And it's actually a great fortune to have her on the call. She has dealt with many students of different age groups in the ISKCON circles. And she's a very clear speaker and a very nice, thorough presenter. These are some qualities that we have observed in Mataji. So we are very fortunate to have her speak on Bhakti Sangha. And she will be covering Canto 3 and the last chapter, which is 33, right? Thank you, Mataji. Vinita Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for that nice introduction. Mukta Mataji, you do ray of services. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha. Today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Mukta Mataji. And Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for coming this evening and enlightening us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 33 chapter. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much to the Bhakti Sangha Japa Group team for hosting and very kindly giving me this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome everyone to the Srimad Bhagavatam chapter-wise series summary series. Today's topic is Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 33, Activities of Lord Kapila. Let's begin with the prayers for auspiciousness. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Savrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhu Vitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishpanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hare Priya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Okay, so today we'll cover the last chapter of Canto 3. So let's quickly recap what we read in Canto 3 so far. So as you all know, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of conversations and wonderful exchanges between very exalted devotees. So from the perspective of conversations, let's see what knowledge is churned out. So the Canto 3 begins with when Mahatma Vidur meets Uddhava and they talk about Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Vrindavan, and that covers the first 3 chapters. Then Mahatma Vidur meets Maitreya Muni and he inquires about the cosmic creation. So manifestation of the Virat Purush and cosmic creation was described. Now how time and Kal is calculated, that was described in detail. Then Mahatma Vidur further inquires from Maitreya Muni about the Supreme Lord. So Lord Varahadev incarnation and the battle with Hiranyaksh is described. Further, he inquires from Maitreya Muni about the line of Swayambhu Manu. So another conversation happened between Supreme Personality of Godhead and Kardam Muni, and then Kardam Muni with Swayambhu Manu. And the result of these conversations was the marriage of Kardam Muni with Devahuti. Then Mahatma Vidur then asked Maitreya Muni to instruct on the transcendental devotional service to the Lord. So in that context, the incarnation of Lord Kapila is described, and Lord Kapil imparts the knowledge of Sankhya Yoga to Mother Devahuti. If we see Canto 3 from the perspective of prayers, there are 4 prayers in this canto. First prayer was offered by demigods at the time of cosmic creation. Then Lord Brahma offers prayers for creative energy. Great sages offer their prayers to Lord Varahadev, and Mother Devahuti offers her prayers to Lord Kapila Dev. She offers twice. Once she offers in the beginning of the teachings and one at the end of the teachings. Let's recap chapter 32 because we'll be following from that chapter. So this chapter, the name of this chapter is Entanglement of Fruitive Activities. Lord Kapil Dev continues with his explanation of Sankhya Yoga, the discussion that started in chapter 25 and it still continues. The Lord explains the different destinations of people on the basis of different levels of their consciousness and how eternal time is chasing the living entities which the living entities are not aware of. Then Lord Kapila advises the mother, advises the Mother Devhuti, and he advises 2-3 times. On 2-3 occasions, he advises that take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service. So finally, he says who this instruction can be given to. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna, when he speaks to Arjuna and he gives him instructions, he tells him who this is very confidential knowledge and who this information can be given to. So now let's begin our today's discussion on the last chapter of this canto, chapter 33, titled Activities of Lord Kapil. So let's first go over the summary overview of this chapter and then we'll go in detail on all the points. So it starts with when Mother Devhuti offers her obeisances and Kapil Dev Muni blesses her and takes permission from her and leaves because his mission was fulfilled. Then we'll see how Mother Devhuti follows the instructions given by Kapil Muni and practices Bhakti Yoga. So the verse numbers are given in the brackets. And then opulence of Kadam Muni is described again, but with another perspective. We will discuss that later. In spite of the unique position of Mother Devhuti, she unattached herself from all the material possessions and meditated on her son, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the feeling of separation. Through continuous practice of Bhakti Yoga, she perfects her life, and we'll see what is Siddhapada and finally the Falashruti. So now let's go into each point in detail. So after hearing the teachings of Lord Kapil Dev, Mother Devhuti becomes free of ignorance. She then offers her obeisances unto the Lord and the author of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation, stated in the verse as Siddhi Bhumim. Mother Devhuti's beautiful prayers, she says that she is astonished because Supreme Lord's body is the source of all the universes and has the entire material manifestation in his belly, as we saw in the chapters describing the cosmic manifestation. And yet he took birth from her abdomen and she calls herself a very ordinary woman. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that being born directly from the body of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the Vishnu form lying down in the ocean at the bottom of the universe, when Brahmaji wants to see him, he also has to meditate upon him. And Mother Devhuti then remembers the pastime of the Supreme Lord lying on the leaf of a banyan tree at the end of the millennium. And it's like a small baby licking the toe of his lotus foot. There's a very beautiful prayer for this pastime. Kararavindein padaravindam mukharavinde vinivishantam vatasya patrasya puteshyanam balam mukundam mansasmaram. So after that, after Mother Devhuti, she offers her obeisances. Then she says that the modes of the material nature are managed by his diverse energies like Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Each of them have been given special powers and Supreme Personality of Godhead, he remains aloof from the material material activities, and he does not get involved in all this. All the energies that he has given to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they manage the material part of this world, and this is very inconceivable to Mother Devhuti. So now someone may ask, the material world is created, so why it is created? So Srila Prabhupada explains this material manifestation is created for those living entities who want to enjoy away from the Lord, and he arranges to fulfill their various desires by supplying all the necessities and maintains them and supplies them by his inconceivable energy. So we must understand that we are dependent on him to fulfill our desires, and he doesn't need anything from us. He's not dependent on anything, which we forget sometimes. So what it means from this verse, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Here, glories of chanting, hearing, and remembering is stated. So, there are two things to consider here. So, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that if we are chanting the holy name and one becomes cleared of all the reactions to sinful activities, then what is to be said to those people who see him face to face? So this is in context with Mother Devhuti, who sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. And the same thing is applied to Arjuna, who sees Krishna face to face, and still he's asking questions and he's being instructed by the Supreme Lord. And the other point here is that persons who are purified by the process of chanting and hearing become immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. They should be considered as Brahman. The last part of her prayers is her praising the Lord, that you have taken the form so mercifully to diminish or to eliminate the sinful activities of the fallen souls, to impart knowledge in devotion and liberation. And because these sinful people are all dependent on your direction, by your own will, you assume incarnations such as Bod and other forms. Finally, she offers her obeisances to the Supreme Person who is Vishnu, who is Brahman, only object of meditation, destroyer of the influence of the three modes of material nature, and the repository of the Vedas. Very pleased by the prayers, Kapil Muni blesses his mother and takes her permission before leaving, so as his mission was fulfilled. So what is the blessing that he gives? So Kapil Muni assures her that if she follows this path of self-realization perfectly, then she shall be freed from the material contamination and will ultimately reach him. And why permission? Srila Prabhupada explains that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is acting like an ordinary human being. And in doing so, he is setting an example for all of us to learn from him good behavior, and also that there is no need to stay with the family because it only leads to sense gratification and attachment. And what was the mission? The mission of the appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapil Muni was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy that is full of devotional service. So after imparting that knowledge to his mother, Srila Prabhupada says, through his mother, he imparted this knowledge to the world. Just like a Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, but the teachings were directed to all the fallen souls of this material world. And Kapil Muni had no reason to stay at home after his mission was fulfilled, so he took permission from his mother and he left. So Srila Prabhupada says here that the level of realization that was experienced by Mother Devhuti is possible only when one is able to withdraw the senses from material activities. when one is engaged in devotional service, there is no scope for his senses to be engaged anywhere else. Only in full Krishna consciousness one can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. Now, after Kapil Muni leaves, Mother Devhuti follows the instructions given by Kapil Muni and practices Bhakti Yoga. So Srila Prabhupada elaborates on 2 points in the purports. The first is she did not leave her home. So Srila Prabhupada explains, it is never recommended for a woman to leave her home. She is dependent. So the very example of Devhuti mother was that when she was not married, she was under the care of her father Swayambhu Manu. And then Swayambhu Manu gave her to Karda Muni in marriage. She was under the care of her husband in her youth. And then when her son grew up, Kapil Muni, her husband left home, and similarly, the son, after discharging his duties towards his mother, also left. So she remained at home and began to practice Bhakti Yoga as it was instructed. And because of this practice of Bhakti Yoga, the entire home became just like a flower crown on the river Saraswati. The second point is bathe at least 3 times daily. So Srila Prabhupada explains that it is the practice of a yogi, brahmachari, vanaprastha and sannyasi to bathe at least 3 times a day, early in the morning, during noon time and in the evening. These principles are strictly followed even by the grahasthas and brahmanas who are elevated in spiritual consciousness. So, and who voluntarily accepts some penances and difficulties such as eating less food and sleeping less. These are the procedures for practicing Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Hatha Yoga. And while doing this, it is mentioned in the verses that her curling black hair gradually became grey. Due to austerity, her body gradually became thin and she wore old garments. The opulence of Kardamuni is described. So this is the second time in this canto that the opulence of Kardamuni is described. So it is said that her great husband Kardamuni gave her all comforts and protection to her at all times. First, it was described in 33 verses. Only the opulence was described to show how through her unconditional service to her husband, she pleases him, and through his yogic powers, Kardamuni gives her all the comforts to enjoy. And this time the opulence is described in 6 verses to show Mother Devhuti's unique position. In spite of all her possessions, which were even envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, she gave up all these comforts. It's not easy, but she did. So Mother Devhuti was in a very unique position because she was able to detach herself from all the material possessions and constantly meditate on her son, who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Vishnu form. She became unattached to her nicely decorated and comfortable home and attached herself to her son in the feeling of separation. The analogy given here is of a cow which is affected by her calf when it dies. Through this continuous practice of Bhakti Yoga, she perfects her life. By renunciation and by accepting only the necessities of the body, she took up devotional service very seriously. Due to the realization of the absolute truth, her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the effects of material nature disappeared. Her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord, and she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. So as per Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. Srila Prabhupada says, unless one is freed from the material entanglement and situated in Brahman, there is no question of entering into the understanding of devotional service, or engaging in Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yuktahara Viharasya. When one engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, he still has to eat, sleep, defend, and mate, because these are the necessities of the body. But he performs such activities in a regulated way and by observing the prescribed rules and regulations. Although nothing is prohibited, yet everything is made yukta, regulated, with the higher purpose always in mind. By following all these rules and regulations of living, all material pangs disappeared and Mother Devhuti attained transcendental bliss. Finally, she got situated in the eternal trance and got freed from the illusion caused by the modes of material nature, and she forgot her material body. So after Mother Devhuti reached the state where she even forgot her material body, her body was taken care of by the spiritual damsels that were created by her husband, Kardama Muni. And that's why it was said that Kardama Muni was taking care of her even after leaving her. So Kardama Muni, and in the absence of any mental anxiety, her body remained the same. So earlier we read in one of the verses that her body was becoming thin, but she has reached a state this time that her body remained the same. So she was always so absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that she was not even aware that sometimes her hair was loosened or her garments was disarrayed. Maitreya Muni says that by following the principles as instructed by Kapil Muni, Mother Devhuti soon became liberated from the material bondage and achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul without any difficulty. So what is Siddhapada? So this is a place where Mother Devhuti achieved her perfection. And Maitreya Muni says it is understood to be the most sacred place which is known all over the three worlds. And the perfection of Mother Devhuti was that the material elements of her body melted into water and is now flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection. So in verse 13, there was a mention of because of her practice of Bhakti Yoga, the entire home became just like a flower crown on the river Saraswati. So it seems like river Saraswati is being referred here. I tried to do a research on Siddhapada. I couldn't find much information. So the mention of Lord Kapil Dev going in the northeast means that the great sage Kapil Muni, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage and with the permission of his mother went in the northeast direction. So Srila Prabhupada explains that he was passing in the northern direction. All the celestial denizens known as the Charanas and the Gandharvas, the damsels of heavenly planets, the Munis, they all prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Srila Prabhupada also explains that Kapil Muni first went towards the Himalayas and then walking along the banks of the river Ganges, he came to the delta of the Ganges at the sea, which is now known as the Bay of Bengal. The ocean gave him residence at a place which is still known as Ganga Sagar, where the river Ganga meets the sea. Even today, people gather there to offer respects to Kapil Dev, who is the original author of Sankhya system of philosophy. This place is known as Ganga Sagar Teerth. So Srila Prabhupada cautions us to not get misled by another version of the Sankhya philosophy that is given by an impostor who was also named Kapila. He says that it is the misrepresentation and does not tally with the Srimad Bhagavatam Sankhya Yoga. And regarding the northeast direction, there is one more place where Kapil Muni is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, that is in Canto 9, in the context of the descent of river Ganga on the planet Earth. So King Sagar's 60,000 sons arrived at Kapil Muni's ashram in the northeast looking for their Ashwamedh horse. So we'll be reading more about that in Canto 9 and the Falashruti. So the description of the dealings of Kapiladev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda. And he thereafter enters into the abode of Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And here Srila Prabhupada says that the abode of Supreme Lord is the Kapila Vaikuntha. So this brings us to the end of the chapter summary and end of Canto 3. Thank you all for your time, and please forgive me for any mistakes I may have committed, and please correct me if I said something wrong. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I hand over the call to the host. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, please go ahead.
Wonderful, wonderful session, Mataji. It was so clear and crisp as always. Thank you so much. I learned a lot today. I didn't know about the Kapila Vaikuntha. That was
It's mentioned in the purport.
very interesting. Like every incarnation of the Lord has like a place in Vaikuntha, right?
Yes.
So like feels like it is his eternal position there. And then you also, so two things. The other thing that I was interested to know is that later after he attained perfection the Northeast, then he came back to Gangasagar. Is it? Is that how?
I'm sorry, Mataji, I couldn't hear the whole thing.
So he left home. He attained perfection, and then he went and he settled in Gangasagar. Is it?
In the northeast direction, yes, Mataji. I think that's what I understood. That he settled in northeast direction, and even in the 9th canto, when the King Sagar's son discussed, Kapil Muni is still meditating there.
So he continues to remain there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. And the other thing that I was thinking is, Devahuti, it was interesting to know that she continued to stay on. She was just practicing Bhakti Yoga in the same place as she was, even after her son left and her husband left, right?
Yes, she was in the same house with all the comforts and all the opulence. And that's why it's a unique position that in spite of all this luxury, she was able to detach herself from there. And there were maids and spiritual damsels, I think it was mentioned, that Kardam Muni had created in order to protect her.
Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah. And then she flows as the river, right?
Yes, she melts, her material body melts as a river, as water in the river.
Yeah, very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. It brings into this entire canto. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for a very detailed class. I really like the way you have summarized the whole canto to understand where we are, and you have described how many prayers are there in this canto, and detailed explanation of the each verses from the purport, highlighting those points. Very, very grateful to you, Mataji. Thank you so much for coming on the call and doing the summary in a very sweet and simple manner. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, go ahead. No.
Go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, not much information has given about the river what Devahuti Mataji, I mean her material body flows as water, river.
I'm sorry, Mataji, I didn't hear the whole thing.
See, that where the Kardamuni performed the austerity, that Bindu Sagar is still there, right? So in the same way, that Dehuti Ma, that is how she left her body, gross body, and it flew as a river. Uh, not much information about that river, Mataji. Is it still existing, or
Mataji, I
any
think
information?
it's a Saraswati River, because in I think 22nd verse or somewhere, it's mentioned that the place where she attained perfection, that became like the flower crown on the river of Saraswati, on the banks of the river Saraswati. So from that, I was assuming that it must be Saraswati River where the Kardamuni's house was.
Oh,
She flowed in
okay.
Saraswati River. Yeah.
But the name of Saraswati River has not been mentioned in the later purports of the Srila Prabhupada, right?
It's mentioned in the verse actually. Let me see.
Mataji.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to search for that verse.
Verse
No,
number,
you said 22, right, Mataji? You just
Huh?
said 22. You said 22 words, right?
no, no, it's,
22,
it's verse number 13, Mataji, if you can hear me.
13, right? Okay. Yes, in verse 13, it says that beautifully decorated with flowers, and that was considered the flower crown of the river Saraswati. In verse 13.
Okay, I'll take a note of that, Mataji. And even we read that Devati attains the Vaikuntha of Kapil Devi.
Yes, yes. So it's
So uh, can we think that that is one of the Vaikunthas in out of
yes. So this is what I've heard from other devotees, that there are many Vaikunthas. So there is the Saket Dham, that is for all the devotees of Ram, and there is Kapil Muni, Kapil Vaikuntha, those who are followers or devoted to Kapil Muni, like Mother Devhuti. And then there are all the Vishnu forms, Vishnu incarnations, they are Vaikunthas. So all the incarnations have their own Vaikunthas, Vaikuntha Lok. The Narsimdev would have one Vaikuntha, Varahadev would have another Vaikuntha. So that way.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Preeti Mataji, for the references. And thank you, Mataji, again for such a beautiful class. If there are no more questions and realizations, we can end the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to you and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu piyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo nama. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Mukta Mataji ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. Very
Bhakti
grateful to
Sangha
you.
ki jai.